this character Ningyo, actually literally translates humanoid, person shaped like human. I think one of the first history of Ningyo were these a small kind of a folding Ningyo or a small doll, paper dolls, and it was sort of a purification ceremony and called Nagashibina, and it happened that they do this at almost every occasion in Kyoto, and these young ladies here are floating their dolls into the river or streams to keep the evil spirits away. And this is one of the Heian period kind of a ceremony that was done around 11th century. And it's still going on. I think the very interesting, this doll, Daruma, it is a Buddhist person named Bodhidharma, who is a founder of Zen Buddhist. And if he, well, actually, he was meditating, lost his arms and legs. And this is what you can buy in New Year Day. Usually, there's no two eyes painted. And once you accomplish something, you add these two eyes. Proverb said that if you fall 7 times, you'll rise 8 times. So this is kind of a, it doesn't tip over. So if you, because the bottom is very heavy, so if you push it, it comes right up. So that's what it is. Daruma. And after you accomplish something, so you could see all this Daruma with 2 eyes. So you take it to a Buddhist temple and then have it display like that. And thank you for your goal and accomplishments. So these are, I've seen some thousands and thousands of Buddhist temples have these things, small to big. And so this is one in Kyoto, they have this one. Another one in around 17th century, Bunraku puppet came about. And these are the puppet heads. And we had done performance at the theater too with these kind of traditional theater from Osaka. It developed in a kind of merchant class in Osaka area. Unlike the no performance, they were highly for merchants and commoners. Here you see the actual Bunraku theater, where you see it's a pretty intense. Some of the performances are double suicide and kind of romance stories. This one in particular is courtesan reading love poems. And if you look at the 2 figures, the black figures, it's called kuroko. It is a subconscious of our humans. Myself and all of us have these subconscious figures running around. You can't see them, but they are moving you. Your minds or your hands and feet moving you is like a puppet. So these are subconscious figures. It's quite beautiful. When I was a child, my mother used to take me these, and I would not look at the dolls, but I look at this black figures they're running around back, in the backstage, but they're kind of scary figures. But it's quite I don't know if it's so abstract and contemporary looking. Karakuri Ningyo, these are invented by different craftsmen. It's a kind of a robot, and they could serve you tea, they could shoot an arrow, they could write a calligraphy, all kinds of stuff. And in Kyoto, we have these kind of festivals to show off their kind of figures that do their chores. One of the most probably famous festival in Takayama, Hida Takayama. And if you go there, there's a lot of parades and things, and they do some incredible, gestures with these dolls without, having humans pulling any strings or anything, but they are kind of robots. And this was invented around 16th century, and it's still going on. Ichimatsu Ningyo, in 1927, there was an exchange program between Japan and US to exchange dolls between Japan and US. And look at these big dolls, it's almost life-size figures. And they exchanged 58 of these dolls from Japan. And they are all of them were named after the prefecture of Japan. So there are 58 prefecture. And like, for example, Miss Mie, Miss Wakayama, Miss Ehime, it goes on and on and on. But anyway, 58 of them was given to US. And I believe I think it's 20,000 celluloid figures from America to Japan. So there was an exchange program. Here are the real side. And then, periodically we find these. Some of the family had it and they brought it back. And one of the left-hand side is called Miss Fukushima, that's where the earthquake was. And this was a collection, I think it was in Chicago that we found. And then maybe about 25 years ago, we showed this at the JACCC gallery. And we had some people from Japan, we have some people who had, collected these things. And we couldn't find all 58 of them, but we found about 40 of them. And we had exhibited in JCC and also two. I think one or two is in collection of Janum. But again, this is about 33, 34, some of them 36 inches tall and quite beautiful. It's craftsman. This also too is a real hair given by children of Japan as well. And the kimono are incredibly crafted for these dolls. Kimono craftsmen made this for them. Again, this is 1927. That's kind of cool. Hina Ningyo now we have in our display. Jane put the display up. But in Japan, in this particular Kyoto, look at this staircase. My goodness. People, donated to the shrines and temples to create Hinamatsuri, the festival of dolls. And if you go to March 3rd, you see thousands of people just looking at it and just getting awed by this kind of visual kind of installation. It's kind of cool. Here too, more of display. But in a rural area, they can't afford this kind of expensive dolls. So they found these rock stones and they create their own ningyo on this thick stairs. Kind of nice project for Scott to do something like that, in the shodo class or the children's and display that in Isamu Noguchi step kit, So few ideas. So this is live Hina Ningyo. It's filmed by Akira Kurosawa, it's a dream, and some of them are. Most of the dolls are crying because the cherry tree was cut down by a farmer. So the figures are crying. But if you look at the dolls that we have at the JCC, 3 of the attendants also are laughing and crying, and it comes from that, you know. So it's just a gesture of humans, I guess. And so if you ever have time, look at this film by Akira Kurosawa. It's called The Dreams. It's quite beautiful. It's stunning kind of visuals here. Okay, we have Kokeshi. These Kokeshi were originally made in northern Japan, where the earthquake happened, and Fukushima, Miyagi, Akita, those areas. I think the left-hand side is kind of original ones. They're kind of cute, big eyes, and later became kind of ornate with you see the right-hand side, the chrysanthemum, and the left-hand side, I think it looked like it's camellias. They only use red, black, and green because they didn't have any colors up in north. And it's lathe. Some of the farmers had actually nothing to do in wintertime, so they made these lathe dolls for their children. And they started to sell it at the hot springs, and tourists would receive this as a gift. But it became collectible, and a lot of people, it became like almost like a amulet, prayer, and so there's sometimes it's very tiny. Tiny is that you could hold in your hand, and I mean, it's just very, very wonderful without hands and legs. It's just stand vertically. And if you have not seen it on the window, our JCC window, please come and see it. It's a Jane did a wonderful display. Here, it's a kind of a contemporary Kokeshi. On the left-hand side, Sabado Dali. Right-hand side, Kiss, the group Kiss. They're very well received in Japan in the 70s and 80s. So these are the kind of a contemporary Kokeshi. And I think, maybe Scott, I think this is a wonderful project for you. We could get some, unpainted Kokeshi and have it almost like a contest, get the people to do something. I think that'd be a wonderful project. Here too, Nintendo, PlayStation are really influenced by Kokeshi dolls. And you could see the various faces on it. And I think our JCC community will be a great place to do something like that, I think Japan was really, really interested in dolls and inventing things. You have Giganto or Astro Boy, Power Rangers, and things like that. They just and Pokemon. They just keep coming. And it's really inventing all kinds of dolls, and I mean it's just incredible. I think. So I think the robots, Ningyo, really influenced the contemporary technology. And this is a Toyota plant. And these are robots, like the Ningyo that we saw earlier. And I think that shows the inspiration of this kind of Ningyo transforming into different territory. And as you know, medical field too was influenced by this kind of robot Ningyo. And many of the engineers have really looked at the Japanese Ningyo robots to invent these medical kind of robots or Ningyo. Here's my Nissan PlayStation. It's I think for me too. My truck is a doll for me, and I added this PlayStation and Nintendo logo. I hope they could sponsor me. Well, anyway, thank you. Here's my super Mario. Kokeshi doll that we have in display here were first produced in their Togata Onsen. There is a hot spring resort in northern Japan. The prefectures like Miyagi, Akita, Iwate prefecture have abundance of Kokeshi artisans. Originally made during the Edo period, 300 years ago, most of the Kokeshi dolls are made from cherry, dogwood, and also maple tree for their softness quality. In recently popular culture, Kokeshi has been inspired Nintendo or even the PlayStation games. It's fascinating. Hinamatsuri is a growth day festival celebrated in the March 3rd of each year, displaying Hina Ningyo dolls. Hina Ningyo, the origin of Hina Ningyo may have come from ancient ceremony. There are paper dolls were thrown into the rivers and streams to purify the ceremonies itself. There are segments of writings in the 11th century literature of Tale of Genji, where the dolls were used for the religious ceremonies. Hina Ningyo displays here is a 7-tier platform representing the emperor and empress, the court attendants, and musicians and their ornaments. Traditionally, these displays were put a day after the celebration. The superstitions of being that leaving the dolls no longer will result in later marriage for their daughters. During the celebration, foods include hina arare, chirashizushi, red bean mochi, and sakura mochi, and amazake, the sweet sake. Well, happy Hinamatsuri for everyone. Thank you for joining us.